August 13th, 2018, Frederick, Colorado. A quiet Monday morning in a peaceful suburban neighborhood, but inside one house at 2825 Saratoga Trail, something was horribly wrong. A pregnant woman, missing, 2 small children, gone, and a husband, acting far too calm. A quiet town with wide streets and open skies. In this peaceful suburb, a young family built what looked like the American dream. But behind Instagram filters and Facebook smiles, that dream was quietly dying. What happened in the early hours shocked the world. They looked like the perfect family. Chris Watts, a quiet, soft-spoken father. Shanann, vibrant, loving, full of life. 2 beautiful daughters, Bella and Celeste, and a baby boy on the way, whom they planned to name Nico. Chris Watts met Shanann Watts in 2010 on Facebook. She was from North Carolina, strong-willed, independent, recovering from lupus, a chronic autoimmune disease. He was quiet, steady, a mechanic who offered comfort and consistency. They married in 2012. A year later, their first daughter, Bella Marie Watts, was born. Then, in 2015, Celeste, nicknamed Cece. In 2013, the couple moved to Colorado for a fresh start. Shanann thrived, literally, ambitious, often working from home, posting motivational videos and updates about her life, her children, her marriage. Her social media was filled with love for her girls and for Chris.
It's here! Like, seriously. I gotta be quiet because the kids are in bed. They went to bed at 6:30. And I made Chris go down to the post office or the mailbox because it said it was delivered and I had to open it. And sure enough, hold on, I'll bring you guys over. You gotta check this out, it's here.
She called him the best thing that ever happened to her. She posted photos of homemade gifts from their daughters, notes from Chris, captions like, "I thank God every day for this man." Chris, on camera, was reserved, shy, often in the background, but always present. He worked long hours for Anadarko Petroleum, providing for his family. And when Shanann became pregnant with their 3rd child in early 2018, a boy they would name Nico, it looked like the family was finally complete.
That's just the test.
I know. It just says the pink is going to be girls.
I don't know. Just the test.
That's awesome.
But not everything was as perfect as it seemed. While Shanann shared her life with the world, Chris began pulling away from it, quietly, gradually, almost invisibly. "He doesn't touch me anymore. He says he's just tired, but something feels off. He's not the same man I married." Summer 2018. Shanann sensed a change, and she was right. Chris had become someone else, someone she didn't recognize, and someone she should have feared. By the summer of 2018, cracks in the Watts marriage were no longer just emotional. They were structural, silent, and spreading. In late June, Shanann took Bella and Celeste to visit her family in North Carolina for 6 weeks. Chris stayed behind in Colorado, claiming work obligations. but his intentions were anything but innocent. That's when Chris met someone new. Nickel Kessinger, a 30-year-old geologist working at the same company as Chris, Anadarko Petroleum. Intelligent, fit, independent, and unaware that the man she was falling for was living a lie. Chris told her he was in the final stages of divorce, that he and Shanann were separating peacefully, that he lived in the basement. It wasn't true, but Nickel believed every word. You make me feel like I can breathe again. I miss you. You barely call the girls anymore. Sorry, busy day. He was busy, planning getaways, sleeping over at Nickel's apartment, Googling song lyrics like Down to Earth by Peter Gabriel, searching phrases like when to say I love you in a new relationship. He took her to dinner at an expensive steakhouse using the same joint credit card he shared with Shanann. That transaction would later become part of the timeline that unraveled his story. Hundreds of miles away, Shanann was growing suspicious. Chris had grown cold. He refused to be intimate. He avoided her calls. And when she flew back to Colorado just days before her death, he barely touched her. He kissed me once, no emotion, nothing. I told him I feel like I'm losing him. You think there's someone else? I honestly don't know. I don't recognize him anymore. She tried to save the marriage. She blamed herself. She begged him to be honest. She even bought a book on emotional connection, not knowing Chris had already made a chilling decision. Chris didn't ask for a divorce. He didn't move out. He didn't tell Nickel the truth. Instead, he made a plan that would let him start over, free of his wife, his daughters, and the life he now saw as a burden. The affair didn't just expose a crack in their marriage, it set the fuse. August 13th, 2018, 1:48 a.m. Shanann arrives home from her business trip. It's the last time anyone will see her alive. What happened next would remain a mystery, until Chris Watts told investigators the unthinkable.
And I put my hands around my wife's neck and did that same thing.
The unborn baby, a boy they had already named Nico, died with her. According to Chris, the argument escalated in their bedroom. Moments later, he claimed he climbed on top of his pregnant wife and strangled her. Shanann never fought back. But the horror didn't end there. Bella and Celeste, just 4 and 3 years old, woke up. They saw their father wrapping their mother's body in a bedsheet, and still, they trusted him. It's 5:17 a.m. Chris backs his work truck into the garage, something his neighbors say he never did before. The house is still, the neighborhood asleep, but inside, a horror has just unfolded. Chris placed Shanann's body into the back of his work truck. Then he buckled the girls into their car seats, and they drove into the darkness. They drove for 45 minutes to a remote oil site owned by Anadarko Petroleum, a location Chris visited regularly for work. It was quiet, empty, secluded. When they arrived, Chris smothered his daughters, one at a time.
She said, "No, Daddy." And that's the last thing she said.
He placed their small bodies inside the tanks. Each tank was only 8 inches wide at the opening. He buried Shanann and baby Nico in a shallow grave nearby. By sunrise, Chris was back home. He texted Shanann's co-workers, pretending to be concerned. He played the part of the worried husband, but behind the calm exterior was a man who had just murdered his entire family. He went to work as usual. He smiled. He joked with coworkers. He even looked up the lyrics to a Metallica song called Battery, a song about violence and rage. In less than 5 hours, Chris had annihilated the people closest to him, and then tried to erase it. By mid-morning, Shanann's friend Nicole Atkinson was worried. Shanann had missed a doctor's appointment. She wasn't answering her phone. And for a woman who was always online, the silence was deafening. It was just after 1 p.m. Officer Scott Coonrod of the Frederick Police Department responded to a welfare check at this quiet suburban home. Chris pulls up. No urgency, no panic, just a small smile and casual greeting, as if nothing was wrong.
Nice to meet you. So we're just waiting for our sergeant to come over, and we'd like to go through your house. Are you okay with us searching through your house? All right. We'll have you sign a consent form. We just want to see if you left a note or anything inconspicuous, something like that.
All right.
So if you're good with that, we'll have you sign a consent form allowing us to search your house, and we'll wait for our sergeant to get here. But we'll grab that. You don't plan on going anywhere, right?
No, I was just going to walk around the neighborhood just to clear my head.
Inside the house, signs of normal life. Nothing looked broken, no forced entry. But Shanann's purse was still on the kitchen counter. Her phone was in the couch cushions. Her medication untouched. Surveillance footage revealed something Chris hadn't mentioned. That early morning, he backed his work truck into the garage, something he never did, and spent nearly an hour loading it.
Look at them.
I know. I'm
Odd. No, I'm just saying it's kind of odd that he pulls his truck back behind my camera. And cut off. The truck's in the garage right now. And he never backs his truck into the driveway.
The next day, Chris agreed to come in voluntarily. Investigators watched him closely. His body language, his tone, his contradictions.
2 a.m., Shanann gets in the bed with me. 4 a.m., that's when my alarm goes off for work, and I'm seeing just get dressed, brush my teeth, everything I do upstairs. 4:15, that's when I get back, slide right into bed next to her, and start having a conversation with her about having the house up for sale, and talking about actually proceeding with the separation.
Detective offered Chris a polygraph test. He agreed.
Would you take a polygraph? Sure. Okay.
And he failed.
It's not even an option right now because you did not pass the polygraph, so I know you were being deceptive. So that's not even an issue right now. The issue right now is what happened to Shanann, Bella, and Celeste.
Faced with mounting evidence, Chris finally asked to speak to his father, Ronnie Watts.
And I put my hands around my wife's neck and did that same thing.
At first, Chris claimed Shanann had killed the girls, and he had snapped in response. But the evidence, GPS data, phone record, security footage told another story. On August 16th, Chris finally admitted to killing his wife and daughters. He led investigators to the remote oil site. There, they found the truth, buried and submerged in oil. Shanann's body was found in a shallow grave. Bella and Celeste were recovered from the tanks. still in their pajamas. They had been there for 4 days. On November 19, 2018, District Attorney Michael Rourke appeared in front of the courthouse in Greeley. In his voice, there was more than just professional duty.
But what I alluded to this morning, as it related specifically to Shanann, was the amount of time it takes for one human being to strangle another. And perhaps Mr. Blesh wants to comment on the timing as well. That demonstrates an incredible intent to cause someone's death. He did that 3 times. So to say that this was anything other than a deliberate, intentional killing is inaccurate, to say the least.
Chris Watts was arrested on August 15, 2018. He was charged with 5 counts of first-degree murder. He would never return home again. On the day of the verdict, Shanann's mother made an emotional speech.
We loved you like a son. We trusted you. Your faithful wife trusted you. Your children adored you, and they also trusted you. Your daughter Bella Marie sang a song proudly. And I don't know if you got to see it, but it was, "Daddy, you're my hero." I have no idea who gave you the right to take their lives. But I know God and his mighty angels were there at that moment to bring them home to paradise.
There wasn't a dry eye in the courtroom. Shanann's mother's words were a testament not only to an unimaginable loss, but also to the betrayal of the deepest trust. She spoke not just as a mother, but as the voice of every family that has had everything taken from them by someone who was meant to protect, not destroy. Strangers mourned a woman they had only known through videos. They remembered a smile, a laugh, a mother's joy. The internet, where Shanann had once built her life, now became the place where millions demanded justice. Chris Watts is now housed at Dodge Correctional Institution, a maximum security prison in Wisconsin. He is kept under surveillance, isolated from other inmates due to the nature of his crimes. Despite everything, letters still arrive. Some are angry, others are disturbingly sympathetic. Chris Watts became infamous, not only for what he did, but for how easily he lied while the world watched. Justice may have been served in the courtroom, but no sentence can restore what was lost. No prison can undo the pain. For the Shanann family, justice meant holding Chris accountable, but true peace would be much harder to find.